Alright, so what is going on, everybody? I hope you're doing well. On today's video, we're going to be talking about how you can survive the burnout status. And fun fact, I actually have the wrong person burnt out. But with that being said, let's go over to our trusted notepad. So, tips to survive burnout. One of the things, this is very obvious, and I know you guys are like, oh my god, this is so obvious, I'm gonna click off. Don't, because I have some stuff for you that is actually worthwhile, right? I do want to start off very basic. Is that the first things first is that you don't want to find yourself in this position here, guys. Okay, now the reason why you don't want to find yourself in this position is because if your opponent happens to do something like this, you're dead, right? So you want to avoid this situation as often as possible. But what happens if you do happen to find yourself in this scenario? Okay, some of the options that you can try and exude, right, is the fact that you need to get a hit. All right, and I know that sounds a little contrary to, you know, common beliefs, is that a lot of your opponents aren't going to be playing here. They're going to be either trying to throw loop you to kill you, or they're trying to get their major hit and then going to blow you up accordingly. So the main thing to survive this instance is to understand how much HP you have. I always say this, and I'll keep saying it till the end of time. Your HP is a resource, okay? So when your HP is a resource, this means that when you're playing here, if it means that you can eat a bunch of throws like this, right? If it means then you take them. Because the reality in this situation here is that no matter, you can take a certain amount of throws until it starts to become lethal. But the thing is if they go for something like this, they go like this, and you tech and you get hit, punish counter, standing heavy punch, you die. It's over. You know, it's GG's. And even then, let's say they decide not to fully cash out, they'll put you in a situation where now you are close to dying, and then that's when this comes into play, right? That's when this comes into play. So if you clicked on this video, I'm sure you need some help. Lord knows I did at some point. But here's the thing, you want your favorite content creators to come and help you. But let's be real, they're charging like $60 per hour. You don't need that. But when I got you good. Over on this channel, I do free coaching sessions on Tuesdays and on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. EST. So what does that look like? I essentially go over your matches. I give you tools so that you can succeed the next time you open up rank. So once again, join my Discord. Wait till I'm live either on Tuesdays or on Thursdays, 6:30 p.m. EST. Be there or be square. And yeah, I'm not your favorite pro, but I'm available. Those pros are not available. So once again, join the live, get better, and I'll help you improve. Back to the video. So you want to avoid these scenarios as much as possible. So how do we go about managing this, right? So what you can decide to do is that let's say our opponent here decides to go for throw, and then something like that, right? So in these cases here, right, if I think they're gonna throw, I'll try something like this, right? Now the reason being is now in this specific instance, I've now forced myself a little bit out of the corner, right? I'm no longer here, and now I'm here in their face and kind of fighting it out, right? So it makes it a little bit easier for me. Okay, another option we can take, right, is to decide to try and press a delayed button, right? In the case that you go for a delayed button, right, you can kind of avoid certain scenarios. What I like to do sometimes, because I know Manon's anti-airs are so good, and the fact that I have level 3, what I like to do personally is just kind of wait for them to jump, because they're afraid of this. They don't want to get hit by this. By fire, by force, they don't want to get hit by this. But how does this portray into characters that don't have a command grab, right? What ends up happening is that they'll end up walking back. And in the cases where they end up walking back off of this situation here, right, something like that, what you can decide to do is press your low forward button or your crouch and medium punch, right? and then hit them out of the startup of whatever they're trying to do at the time. And it kind of helps you in this situation, because let's say I commit to doing it, I slide, now I'm here, now they have to guess, and then now not only have I fought out of the corner, but I've also done about maybe 40%, right? The whole idea is to fight out the corner, right? In the case that you find yourself. The next thing you want to be aware of is that you want to be aware of your map spacing, okay? So what does that look like? When you're here, how close are you to the corner? Comment down below how close you are to the corner, okay? If you said one combo away from the corner, you would be correct. So what does this mean, right? This means ideally you want to be very careful about being in their face, right? The reason being, right, while you're in burnout, is that if they happen to back throw you, booms, you're in this situation, and then we're back where we started, right? Ideally, we want to hold mid-screen as long as possible, right? So how do we do this? So we use a lot of our normals or moves that are really good for checking spaces, okay? Let's talk about for Ken. In Ken's case, this is a good button to check people with. Stand a medium kick. Sometimes it's good to throw out your standing heavy punch, right? A lot of Kens will even do something like this, right? Just to kind of check you and keep you in place, right? These are things that are good for checking people and also simultaneously keeping that range away from them, because you do not, okay, want them doing something like this, right? And you think, oh, you're fine, right? If you block the DI, you're fine, and then you get your back blown out. You see what I'm saying? So keeping aware of where you are in the map is really important, and this will pertain to basically every map that you are on. One thing that particularly helps when it comes to playing on the training stage is when you see this corner of the map, right? You see this line right here. This line right here indicates a back right corner of the map. So the closer you are to it, the closer you are to the corner. So it's a pretty good indication of where you are on the map. The game has been out for about a year. If you're completely new to the game, it's going to take you a little bit of time, but if you have been playing for about 4 to 5 months, you should already kind of know where those edges are on each of those maps, and those are going to be really important when it comes to keeping people out, right? So you want to be using your normals, keep them out, use your good normals, and keep them at bay, okay? So the next thing that I wanted to talk about is, if you have the health, eat those fireballs, okay? Eat them. What do I mean by this, okay? Let's say our opponent is like, you know what? Let's fire up, fireball up, all right? So in the case that this happens to you, let's talk about what our options are, right? The reason why I say you just go ahead and eat those fireballs is because let's say you're here, right? If you have the health to eat these, look how much you've gained in that time, right? And now they're forced into action in which they have to do something a little bit more aggressive to make up the difference of the time that they spent just straight trying to zone you, right? So the beauty in it is that you gain so much meter back, and you want to make sure that you're gaining as much meter back as quickly as possible, okay? So the next thing that I wanted to go over is the fact that walking forward does in fact help your gauge build up faster. So here I'm just gonna let it chill, and I want you to keep an eye on this, okay? Now the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be walking forward, and you're gonna notice a little bit faster of an increase when it comes to this, right? Notice how it builds a little bit quicker. This is something that I want you to keep in mind. So what does this mean? This leads directly into my last point, which is that you need to balance between offensive and defensive play. Okay, now defensive is obviously using those normals like I mentioned before to keep them at bay, right? These are checking drive rushes, these are eating the fireballs, these are taking your specific spots in which you can try and whiff punish them. This is the defensive play I'm talking about. But when it comes to offensive play, let's say they're doing the thing that they were doing before, we take an opportunity here, right? And then we move up on the opportunity, right? The reason why we do something like that is that look how much drive gauge has come back after that, right? So after a situation like this, right, you need to be able to take opportunities when they arise. Now obviously a jump on a fireball is pretty risky because you might get anti-aired and you might get DP'd, and if you get DP'd you get pushed forward towards the corner. But this is definitely something that you have to incorporate, because when you incorporate more offense you get to your objective a little bit quicker, and it's definitely something that you need to incorporate into your gameplay. So with that being said, I want you to mix up between actively being aggro and being defensive, right? So a big thing that people like to do, especially when they've got you on the run, right, they like to particularly get up in your face, right? They like to run at you. So one thing that you need to do, and I can't stress this enough, is you need to be attempting to check drive rush, right? Because this is how after they shot their fireballs, you block their fireballs, they realize, okay, I need to get in and start enforcing some form of offense upon you, right? In order for them to do that, they're going to want to drive rush. And the key right there is to shut that down. You shut that down, that's when your defensive play has been successful. Now you can run your offense, right? Now you can start running your offense. Now you make them worried and they have to hold your stuff. That's the importance of it, right? That's the importance of having that mix between defensive and offensive play. A lot of people end up getting so scared, walking back the entire time, right? And eventually they just find themselves cornered. Once they're cornered, they don't really know what to do, and they just immediately go to jumping out instead of trying to fight their way out. Something that a lot of people do like this, right? Instead of trying to fight their way out, they will instead just try to jump. They get anti or DP'd, and then they're back in the same situation but with less health, and then that's where once again we get stuck here. So in order to avoid this, I would ensure that you enact the things that I mentioned in this video. Once again, thank you so much for watching. There's a whole list of guides over there if you're interested. But with that being said, have a good one, y'all. Peace.